So this was a fight that I was surprised to hear about. It seems as though each week we're hearing of more PBC fighters fighting on other outfits. So now it's looking like Tszyu's going to be returning. What is it? You said April the 6th
April the 6th, yeah.
against PBC's Joey Spencer. Now let me tell you about Joey Spencer. And you were right. It was Jesus Ramos and not Abel Ramos. I remember because I did that video. It was on the undercard of David Benavidez versus Caleb Plant, where Joey Spencer had got knocked out in the seventh round by Jesus Ramos. But he's going to be fighting Tszyu. Now, he's 24 years old. He's got a lot of good gym stories behind him, but never really been able to get over the hump as of yet in pro boxing. However, we don't know what Tszyu going to show up. You know, from the issues he had with the cut against Sebastian Fedora, then thinking he was cut in his fight against Bakram Murtazaliev, getting his shit pushed in and beat like just the shit beat out of him by Bakram Murtazaliev. He's returning against Joey Spencer. The question is like the mystique going to be gone, the fear factor, and how is he going to fight? Is he going to be timid? Because we don't know. He's got knocked out. He's got knocked out. Not only the cut in one fight. He may still have issues as you brought up before with that, but now knowing that he can be stopped. What are your thoughts on the Joey Spencer fight?
I like it because Joey Spencer is a ranked, in prime, in shape 154 opponent. And we all know that you could literally count on one hand how many in prime, in shape 154 opponents Tszyu has faced in his career. Probably 5.
Yeah.
So I like this. I like this fight. I'd put Joey Spencer somewhere in between the vicinity of Carlos Ocampo and Brian Mendoza.
Okay.
Probably between those two fighters.
Okay, I can agree with that.
Sorry?
I can agree with that.
Yeah. Good, solid opponent to get his win back in his sales. A dangerous opponent, but a very winnable fight. And I think that's exactly what he needed. There was a lot of people saying, he should fight some domestic level bum. I'm like, no, that's the worst thing he can do, is fight some domestic level knucklehead. Like when Jason Maloney got bloody knocked out by anyway, he didn't fight some low-level domestic bloke. He fought someone ranked.
Yeah.
And then later he's a world champion. So, that's... What they're doing with Tim is exactly what they should be doing, and I find no fault in it. I think they're doing exactly the right thing. And all these other people out there saying, I need to fight someone lower. Why? Why? Give him a false sense of security, kick the crap out of some domestic level bloke, and roll over for him, fill his head, full of hopes and dreams, and no, that's the wrong. He needs to fight solid ranked opponents and work his way back up into the world title picture, which is going to take him a year to 18 months at least, fighting these opponents, not these blown up welterweights that he's been fighting, not these champions that haven't been champions for 3-4 years, solid, opponents. So, and I like it a lot.
So it looks like he can have a 3-fight 2025. So, by the way, Erickson Lubin, he's been ordered in a final eliminator. Geez, I forgot against who. Let me see if I can find it real quick. To be the mandatory for Bakram Murtazaliev. And also, Bakram Murtazaliev has announced that he's got some news coming up. Oh, yeah. Erickson Lubin is going to be fighting on ProBox on YouTube, by the way. There was a purse bid.
So, who's Bakram going to fight? Because he doesn't have a mandatory.
That's going to be the interesting question. I want to see who he's going to fight because, see, if this was a time where PBC was doing financially well, they would have sealed up Bakram Murtazaliev in a multi-fight deal. But now with the Saudis involved, and we talked about it, even though, he's become somewhat of a boogeyman out of nowhere, Bakhram Murtazaliev, we talked about it before that his belt is very political. So I will not be surprised if the Saudis scoop him up. And also his promotional outfit, Main Event US, not the broadcaster, but Main Event head run by Kathy Duva. And also his manager is Igor Klimas, who manages Lomachenko, Alexander Usyk, Dennis Baranchek. But basically, the point I'm trying to make is his belt is very political, and I will not be surprised if they follow the money. And right now, the Saudis got the money. So when I'm looking at the rankings here, he's got to fight somebody in the top 15. Charles Conwell, maybe Josh Kelly, top ranked Xander Zayas. I don't think that he's going to be fighting actually in a couple of weeks. It's going to be interesting to see where Bakhram Murtazaliev goes. Now, of course, who knows? It could be Terrence Crawford, because think about this. Of course, you probably heard, I know you heard already, that the Terrence Crawford and Canelo fight has legs, that is possibly going to happen in September, but both fighters are supposed to be taking interim fights, and I wonder if we could possibly see that.
I don't think so. I think that's too big of a risk for Terrence, because he didn't look that flash against Madrimov, and ain't no Madrimov.
I mean, and then also you have Jamel Charlo, who's supposed to be returning. Sebastian Fundora, I forgot who he's linked to. He's linked to a bullshit fight.
Yeah, he is. I think we talked about
Cordell Booker. Cordell Booker.
Sorry?
Cordell Booker. Sebastian Fundora is supposed to be fighting Cordell Booker.
What the fuck's that?
PBC fighter, not like that's the same thing. That's the same thing everybody else is saying. Who the fuck is that? I've seen him fight. I know who he is, but to see that Sebastian Fundora could have fought Terrence Crawford, he could have fought Tszyu again, and now he's going to be fighting on a regular Amazon Prime card, likely in some small little bullshit arena, because he wanted to wait around and bullshit around with Errol Spence, or his team did. Now he gets nothing.
When he could have come to Australia and got probably a $3 million payday to fight Tszyu in a 60,000 seat stadium.
But now that Errol Spence is out of the picture, I wonder if we can see Fundora and Tszyu again this year. It's looking, because with all the other top fighters tied up, it's looking possible.
Maybe, but here's No Limit's plan, and we're going to get into this. No Limit want the Tszyu-Keith Thurman fight, which is why Keith Thurman is fighting Brock Jarvis on March 12th.
Got you. Oh, yeah. There you go.
So they want Thurman to fight Brock, use Brock as a sacrificial lamb, right, to get the ring rust and to build the interest and all that sort of stuff, to get Keith to fight Tim July, August of this year.
Makes sense. There you go. Which is the fight we're going to be talking about next. Now this I didn't see this coming out of nowhere, and we did talk about the fact that PBC clearly owes No Limit some favors between the Joey Spencer fight and now this Thurman. What you say?
More than one, that's for sure.
Yeah, because this Keith Thurman fight against Brock Jarvis, it just doesn't make any sense to me, especially when you look at the fact that, for one, Keith Thurman was a few weeks away from Hall of Fame eligibility because of his inactivity. For example, Keith Thurman is 30-1 with 22 KOs. I forgot how old Thurman is. I believe he's 35. Let me check real quick. 36. He's 36. Let me see when he's going to turn 37. He turns 37 in November. So, but here's the thing. Keith Thurman, the last time he fought twice a year was in 2019. But get this. In the last 6 years, it's been 6 years now since he fought Jose Zito Lopez, January the 26th of 2019. It's been 6 years this week. He's only had 3 fights since then. Manny Pacquiao, 2019, July. Mario Barrios, February of 2022. And, this will be his 3rd fight. Ridiculous. So, and when it comes to Brock Jarvis, as you can see here, let me see if the fans, they're going. Before I say it, I wanted them to look at this in the comments when they watch the video. 22-1 with 20 KOs, 27 years old. His last fight was at 160 against Adrian Rodriguez. Before that, against a Thai fighter at 144, pretty much 147. Before that, he got knocked out by Liam Paro in one round at 140, by the way. Before that, 135. Before that, 130. Before that, 126. So this guy has jumped up a division or two every single fight since 2019.
Yeah, but he was Sebastian Fandora when he was fighting that low levels. He was and bone. He looks a lot better now, I can tell you. So,
yeah, he does, but still that punch resistance though. Even though Keith Thurman's older. Keith Thurman has always been known to have some punch to him.
Well, the problem is that Keith hasn't fought in 3 years. He really hasn't fought in 6, and he's injury prone. I believe that Keith gets into the ring when he's got his gear on and the bell goes ding.
Yeah, there you go.
Just like I called bullshit with the Tszyu fight, I'm not very confident this happens either. Because the second they announced that Tszyu fight last year, I went, bullshit.
Yeah.
Right? And it turned out to be a ploy to just get the belts off Tim. So
yeah, and it worked. And now look, Tim has been knocked out and hasn't got. Yeah, if that's what you, it worked. If that was the plan.
Well, it worked perfectly. So, but yeah, I never thought for a second that Keith Thurman was actually going to get into the ring, and I'm very skeptical about this one as well. So, as I said, he's injury prone. He's 36 and he hasn't fought in 3 years. So I'll believe I see it is how I'm taking this fight. But as I said before, I believe that he's being used as a sacrificial lamb to get the Thurman Tszyu fight. So, yeah, there's been a lot of media. Jeff Fennick, his trainer's been doing a lot of media. And you can see in the media that I don't think Jeff is very confident that Brock can get this done. Because let's be honest, Brock ain't no world-class fighter.
Yeah.
So he got absolutely pummeled by Liam Paro in 90 seconds. That pretty much tells you everything. He almost got knocked out by that Mexican journeyman the fight before that.
Yeah.
So Brock has been rocked several times, right, by low-level competition. He got knocked out by Liam Paro, who, I wouldn't say it was an elite fight, but a world fighter because he was a world champion. So a lot of people are saying this is a 50-50 fight because we don't know what sort of Thurman's going to show up.
Yeah.
And then you got Mick Zarafa on the undercard. People saying Zarafa should have fought Thurman. Well, how's that? Mick Zarafa's next loss will be his last, despite him signing a 2-year deal with no limits. So it's making sense yet not making sense.
The Zarafa fight is supposed to lead to Nikita, correct?
I think that's the plan because Tim has flat out come out and said multiple times, and I don't blame him. He doesn't want to give Zarafa the payday. So, which is fine. Tim has zero interest in fighting Mick, and Mick's come out and said the same thing. He goes, I've got other things to worry about at the moment, which is exactly what he should be saying. So those two need to stop worrying about each other for now and focus on other opponents. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, so basically, you are picking Thurman to win. Obviously, if they step into the ring, they got to get into the ring first.
If they step into the ring, I'm saying 60-40 Thurman. Even though he is washed up and hasn't fought and a blown up 140 or whatever it was, blown up welterweight. Everyone's been waiting for me to say that. I don't think Brock is that good. I honestly believe if Brock beats Thurman, it'll throw a spanner into the works of what No Limit want because Brock versus Tim ain't going to sell, but Tim versus Thurman will.
Yeah. One thing about Thurman is when he was active, that it was a short period, but he was pretty dominant. with wins over Robert Guerrero when he was still kind of something. Sean Porter, Danny Garcia, Jose Zito Lopez provided him a scare, but him losing the old man Pacquiao, that and he wasn't supposed to lose to Pacquiao. The Pacquiao he was supposed to fight, he was supposed to beat Pacquiao, and that was supposed to lead to him versus Errol Spence.
Yeah, I'll never forget that, because you remember when Keith Thurman ate a pizza like an hour before that fight? I'm like,
yeah, in the locker room, yeah.
And here's Pacquiao eating chicken and rice, and Keith Thurman's eating a pizza. Like, you fucking idiot.
And Pacquiao was eating to keep the weight up.
Yeah, exactly. Have you got that picture of that shirt I sent you? Keithie's done himself a mischief. Have you still got that?
Yeah, that's long somewhere in some file somewhere.
Yeah, well, we need to break out that shirt again. So,
all right, closing thoughts.
Well, I mean, we've got some significant fights announced. I think George. I don't see him fighting in Sydney. I think they'll take it to Brisbane, because I think that's where they should match, where he should focus. Because Sydney is no limits territory. So I mean,
they already say it. It's right here on the Matchroom page. Sydney, we're coming. That's what it says.
Well, the problem is that they've got no limit cut 10 days before and another no limit card a couple of weeks after in Sydney, right when the football season's kicked off, right? That particular March 22nd is whoever done their research on the NRL draws either got very lucky or they did their research, because there's only one game. There's no games Friday night for the NRL in Sydney that Friday night. On that Saturday, there's only one game that kicks at 3 o'clock. So
yeah, but you said before, you said it yourself multiple times, that when it comes to putting on fights in Australia, Eddie Hearn is not, he always does what people think, what he shouldn't do. So you and I both know that, he don't care if it's no limit territory or not. He's going to try to go in there and put his fight on.
Yeah. Well, I would probably stay in Queensland, because their Jai Up at Fire show was a complete success.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, what's the next fight we got on the docket? It's the February the 14th, right? Who's it? Which one is that one? Is that
You mean February? You mean the Jason Maloney fight? It's
yeah, that's the 24th. February 24th. We're going to be here for Jason Maloney versus Tenshin Nasukawa. I'm going to be covering that card anyway because of Gento Nakatani. But this Nasukawa Jason Maloney card fight has my interest, because Nasukawa is the favorite to win, but I will not be surprised if Jason Maloney pulls off the upset.